It's NBA action on 2K Sports. Hi, everyone. This is Kevin Harlan alongside Clark Kellogg and Steve Curley. And our good friend Doris Burke will join us from the sidelines. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Newark, New Jersey. The Nets playing host at the Prudential Center as they look for a win at home. And now the New York Knicks starters. Melo and Amari at the forward slots. Then it's Jeremy Lin, and it's Chandler, and it's Shumpert in at the 2 spot. And for the Nets, Humphries is at the 4 with Brook Lopez in the middle. Brooks is out there with Darren Williams, and it's Wallace in at the 3 slot.
Well, obviously a huge talent infusion for the Knicks a season ago when they picked up Carmelo Anthony and signed Amari Stoudemire as a free agent, and that helped them play well within their division. They went 10-6 in the Atlantic last year.
And so off the tip, it's New York. Here's Anthony. Shooting for New York. That free throw good from Anthony. Both free throws good from Anthony. On defense, New York. Left side, Williams. Solid play on the low block, and that one's good. And Steve, kind of jumping off, we were talking about strong divisional play. That's always a place to start. Home wins, Clark, obviously important, but you got to win within your division.
Yeah, you've got to take care of business in that area, Kevin. I mean, you look at the records, they dropped 3 or 4 of those games, and all of a sudden they're on the outside looking in.
Here is Lynn after Gerald Wallace's bucket. Shoots the 3. Offensive rebound. And here are the Nets now. An easy 2 points on the layup. Wallace has got his 2nd bucket of the night. It's taken away by Wallace.
That's just horrible decision. You got to be more patient with the ball.
Shumpert blocked. We've seen a quick start here for the Nets. 4-point game. Doris Burke had a chance to catch up with head coach Avery Johnson.
Kevin, he had high praise for the defense they're up against, but didn't go so far as to say they are unbeatable. He feels he has a game plan lined up that should allow them to slowly chip away at their defensive structure and allow them to control their chances on offense. Kevin, let's see how it plays out.
Wonderful, Doris. Thanks for the report.
You know, that strong defense on the other side obviously has them a big concern.
Yeah, no question. And they're so good when you isolate, they're going to really close you down. So you've got to keep player movement, ball movement. Try to get that defense on the move. That's the only way you're going to get good shots against this team.
You know, it was really tough going for the Nets. They had their hands full playing against the Eastern Conference last season. Just 13 up and 39 down.
Oof. Mark, you rattled off that record. Still, though, surprisingly an improvement from 8-44 the year before against the East.
Incremental progress.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Steve. There's a little light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, maybe they can get to 15 wins against the East this year.
Well, fellas, you know, Melo coming over to the Knicks, the big story around the league, really, as the Knicks like to make headlines, and they did with that move. Some, though, can criticize New York for being more concerned with being on the front page than actually winning. I'm not sure I quite agree with that, but certainly some people may have felt that way.
That's what you brought up. They have always tried to be a part of big trades that are being discussed. Sometimes they work, Steve, and sometimes they don't for that team.
Yeah, but anytime you have a chance to get a superstar like Carmelo Anthony or like Amari Stoudemire, I think you go ahead and do it. And so New York is set up now for some success over the coming years, but we'll see how they go forward and what kind of roster they put around their 2 stars.
And the Knicks with the ball after the basket by New Jersey. And the jam by Stoudemire.
He made sure to get a little extra hang time there, just to rub it in the defender's face a bit.
Look out below. I wasn't sure he was ever going to come down.
He just wanted to make sure he wasn't coming down on top of anybody.
And there's the whistle on the shot. Took the foul. Shot misses. He'll be shooting 2. And there's the call. New York with the foul.
You know, after the trade to the Nets last season, Kevin, Williams didn't get to play in many games, only 12 in fact, and didn't play well in those because he was dealing with an injury.
Well, getting back to Darren Williams, points and field goal percentage, Steve, were down, but his assists were up in his dozen games.
And that is what the Nets want. I mean, they don't need a scorer so much as they need somebody who can run the show and get everybody involved, and that's what Darren Williams does best.
You know, Wallace saw his production stay about the same in the playoffs as the Blazers weren't quite good enough to handle the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, Clark, back to Gerald Wallace for just a second. He seemed to be inconsistent, Steve, game to game in the series, though.
But that sometimes happens during the playoffs, Kevin. The defense is always much more in tune with what's going on. The scouting reports are so extensive. And so you'll see players kind of go up and down. The big thing is to respond to the poor efforts and come back with a big night, and that's exactly what Wallace did in that Dallas series.
Green, he's checked in for Brooks. Here is Lynn. Williams picks him up. 6 on the shot clock. It's stolen by Green.
You can't get too loose with the ball down on the low post. Too easy to steal it.
Can't connect from short range. Knicks trail by 4. And here's the fast break. Here is Lynn. From 20 feet out. Rebounded by the Nets. Williams has got 3 rebounds now in this one. Taken away by Anthony. Now the Knicks with it. Trailing by 4. Lifts up. And he lays that one in. He's got 5.
You know, he's not going to make a mistake when he gets in tight. That's a good hoop there.
And here are the Nets now. Outside Williams. Oh, mercy! An emphatic alley-oop jam.
Slamming it home off the alley-oop. Remarkable.
Well, his eyes got wide as he went up for that one.
And he timed his leap perfectly to meet the pass at the top of its arc.
And the Knicks with the ball. 4-point game. Green against Stoudemire. The jump hook, and the shot is good. Stoudemire's got his second basket.
That's not a defensive matchup that's going to work out too often. I mean, it's hard to give up that much size.
Lopez backs in. And the layup's good off the glass.
Now the only way to stop him is to keep him from getting the ball in the first place.
Shumpert passes to Lynn. There's the dish to Melo. Poke loose. Lopez with the steal.
You know, sometimes it takes a quarter. Wow!
Oh, that was something else. Let's see that again on the Sprite Slam cam.
The windmill finish. Now that's nasty. How do you do?
Finishes the play. Utter disregard for his own safety.
Look at his teammates. They're just shaking their heads. I mean, he must have told them to look out for that one.
Here is Lynn. Still looking to get on the scoreboard. From the top of the key, and he hits the jump shot. Here is Williams. Under 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Tipped.
Now, part of the reason they are where they are is that they have taken care of the ball for the most part.
Puts up the baby hook. Second shot opportunity. Stoudemire with the bucket.
Boy, he's a slippery guy. I mean, he knows exactly how to use angles to slip his way past the defender and get into outstanding rebounding position for the putback.
And they're running. Here's Anthony. Over Humphries. Anthony with the bucket. Anthony's got 6 points.
Well, they've done a lot of their damage from mid-range here, guys. I mean, knocking down those shots with regularity.
Now, how about 8 of their last 10 points, guys, coming off that mid-range area jump shot? So, shows you don't have to be at the rim to score.
Wallace, good.
You know, you look at Avery's last stop in coaching with the Dallas Mavericks, and he found success immediately. I mean, pronto. Did he set the bar too high with his early success? That's a fair question, I think.
And the Knicks decide to take their first time out here. Going back to Avery Johnson, Coach of the Year in 2006 with the Mavs, Steve. He proved himself certainly down in Texas.
They really established a different culture with Dallas, made them a more defensive-minded team after they had been a run-and-gun squad under Don Nelson. So I have a lot of respect for Johnson and the job he did in Dallas. And I think he's going to do a nice job here in New Jersey as well.
And the Nets making a change here. James is checked in. Garrett Seiler's checked in for the Knicks. Jeffries comes in for Amari Stoudemire. Lynn kicks to Anthony. Takes it into the teeth of the D and converts the layup. Anthony's got 8.
They can't seem to stop anybody inside.
They got to know that. That should be illegal, Kevin.
Yeah, he did awfully well to thread that pass there into the paint.
Here is Lynn. About 5.5 minutes left to play here in the first. He feeds it to Melo. James covering. Anthony. And the Knicks good for 2.
I think their only hope now, Clark, is to slow him down with a double team.
Well, they got to stop the bleeding, put the tourniquet on, and he's been tough to play straight up.
Backing down is Wallace. And the dunk by Humphries. Humphries has got his first 2 points.
Both sides really coming out of the gate firing here.
Guys, they look like they were raring to go in this one. A lot of offense early on.
Nets leading by 3. Here's James. Count it. The defender is called for the block, and this could turn into a 3-point play.
Well, you know, the Nets managed to get close to 500 at home last season, guys. 19-22 was the record. They more than doubled their home wins from the season prior, so you try to build on something, and that's a good place to start.
Amari Stoudemire is checked in for the Knicks. And for these New Jersey fans, this is probably the last season the Nets will be seeing the Prudential Center here in downtown Newark.
Yeah, that's right, because next season the Nets will move into their new building in Brooklyn. Probably some mixed emotions for the New Jersey fans who live on this side of the Hudson, but it will be very exciting to have a major pro sports team in Brooklyn. First time since 1958. Not rare to find yourself in the lead when you're turning the ball over like they are.
Well, if they want to build on the lead, then they've got to take better care of the ball. It's that simple. I mean, they've got to do a better job with the basketball.
Got a piece of it. Stoudemire against Wallace.
Good defense there. He was just waiting for that one.
Lynn, he goes up. The rebound by Humphries. Humphries has got 3 rebounds now in this one. And so he draws the foul on the shot. A trip to the line to shoot 2.
Guys, you know, the Nets have really struggled against everybody, but particularly against their neighbors in the Atlantic Division over the last couple of seasons. I mean, last season, they were actually the punching bag for that division. 3-13 within the division.
And James drills them both. We talk about the Nets against the Atlantic, Clark. The same exact record the last 2 seasons. They can't get off that 3-13 record, huh?
Well, doesn't seem like it.
Steve, but they've got to if they want to make some distance here in this division and in the conference.
Well, considering that the Nets made a 12-game improvement in their overall win total, it's interesting that they couldn't make more inroads in the Atlantic. We'll see if they can move up the totem pole this season in their own division.
And so here is New York, trailing here by 8. Shumpert, guarded by Green. Dishes to Jeffries. He's picked up by James. Six to shoot. Knocked away.
They've had a real difficult time this half, Kevin.
impressive offensive execution to this point. That's what's gotten them this lead.
Well, it's paid off on the scoreboard, the fact that they've been together and productive offensively.
Here is Lynn. 10 points separating the teams. Stoudemire up top. Guarded now by Gerald Wallace. It's taken away by Wallace.
Well, this has been an ugly, ugly start to the game for them.
Ton of turnovers here early, and it isn't hard to see why they're down in the game. I mean, this is not good basketball.
Guarded by Stoudemire. Wallace misses. Knicks trail by 12.
Well, Gerald Wallace was his usual productive self last season, scoring, rebounding, and just being a terror, running the floor. Of course, he has that great length and ability to block shots.
Back to Wallace. Clark is only 6'7", but he gets about a block a game with that reach of his.
Well, that reach is certainly an asset in that regard, but it also points to his timing. I mean, a lot of guys in the league have the reach, but don't know exactly when to jump. So it's a combination of reach and timing.
And he makes the first.
How about the run Amari had last season during the middle of the year? He had 9 straight games with 30 points or more. Just an explosive score. That was a Knicks record, by the way.
Looking at who's out there now for the Nets. Brooke Lopez is checked in for Damian James. Stevenson comes in for Green. And it's Farmar in for Darren Williams. And just to touch back on that record of Amari's, he was carrying the Knicks team for the early stretch.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, with a team that had sort of been kind of patched together and stitched together, he stepped up and led the way until they were able to make that trade for Carmelo Anthony.
That's how it works. Your defense feeds into the offense.
Yeah, you know, excellent work, I thought. Solid work on both ends in that particular sequence.
Knicks with the rebound.
It seems like he tightens up, guys, when he gets close to the rim, especially with a defender nearby.
Dunks it down.
Sheer, unadulterated power right there. I mean, he ripped it down with both hands.
Absolutely. Steve, a resounding dunk.
Yeah, a take no chances slam, guys.
Here's Farmar. And it's a defensive 3-second violation.
Well, you know, after the long playoff drought, the Knicks were finally back in the postseason last year. Did not quite turn out the way they hoped it would, but still, you got to think something to build on.
And the free throw no good, but they'll get the ball back here. Looking at who's out there now for the Knicks. Tyson Chandler. He's checked in for Garrett Zion. Landry Fields comes in for Jared Jeffries. And J.R. Smith's subbed in for Shumpert. Yeah, back to the Knicks-Celtics series. Steve, the Knicks were swept, but they were hurt in a big way by injuries. Earlier, Clark was talking about the injured point guard Chauncey Billups. He was a big missing piece.
Yeah, he was gone after game 1. Remember, Amari Stoudemire hurt his back in game 2 and wasn't the same at that point. You keep those guys healthy, and I think that's a much more competitive series.
Lynn, foul call that time on the way up. That'll give him 2 chances at the free throw line here. That's on Jordan Farmar.
Well, that should be a rule. No layups. Protect the paint. Make them earn every point.
Yeah, I think that's just tough, hard-nosed, smash-mouth basketball. Make your opponent earn their points from the line. Don't give up any layups.
And so he makes both from the line.
Well, I tell you what, the Knicks are not a team that puts fear into you when they hit the road. But they weren't the same pushovers they were in the years past.
Smith outside, and the rejection by Lopez. Out of bounds. They'll keep possession. And we've got an injury out on the floor. Very unfortunate as always, guys. Don't like to see this.
Well, let's just hope it's a bump or a bruise and that he's back out on the floor soon.
You know, Steve, just one of those things. It does happen in the course of battle. We'll see.
The Knicks making a switch here. Davis is checked in. .114 left in the first. Out of bounds. And they retain possession. Brought up the Knicks on the road. 19-22 last season.
And that's a huge leap over what they did in the pre-Amari Melo days when they were really, really struggling on the road.
And the slam by Wallace.
Yes, indeedy. Boy, I love that one. That's not just any plain dunk. That has some panache to it.
It's an energizer, guys. That is an energizer.
That is, and that will lift the whole team up.
Fields against Walls. Marked down low that time, and he got the 3-second close. Here's Farmar. Trying to go big for the alley-oop, but good defense got in the way.
Well, they have a nice early lead here despite not being very careful with the basketball.
It hasn't been pretty, but imagine how well they'd be doing if they could cut down on all these turnovers, guys.
Jumps up. Wallace misses. Knicks trailed by 9, and here they come. Lynn dishes to Fields. Chandler. Humphries gets the rebound. Humphries has got 6 rebounds now in the game. Goes right up, and there's Gerald Wallace on the assist from Deshaun Stevenson. 16 points for Wallace. Lynn the pass to Stoudemire. Kicks to Davis. Shoots a 3. And no good trying to get that one. And after just 1 quarter of play, a double-digit differential on